Welcome back, Awakening Beauties. My name is Robin. If this is your first time joining me, I give you a hearty welcome. Last year was a no-buy year for me, and as you will have seen if you saw the title of this video, I am reporting my fourth quarter findings and also my entire 2023 no-buy year findings of what did I spend? How much did I save? Did I accomplish my goals for 2023? I do have an entire playlist of my no-buy year, and I will link that below. In case you didn't catch any of those videos, my no-buy year consisted of not buying any makeup, skincare, housewares, clothing, shoes, accessories, unless I needed a replacement product. And if this is your first time joining me, my channel is about a lot of things. I'm not exactly niche down. So I do cover a wide variety of topics from beauty, fashion, health, and spirituality. So if that's interests you, I encourage you to go ahead and subscribe, and if you end up liking this video, please give it a like. I really appreciate that. So now we get into the dirt of the matter. So I've talked a lot about why I did a no-buy year, and I won't really get into that so much in this video, but some of the areas where I found myself spending a lot of money in 2022 had to do with makeup and skincare. Clothes and shoes have always been a downfall of mine. And as a fashion designer, and just as a woman who loves to shop, I tend to spend a lot of money in those categories. So I just found myself, because I was turning 50 in 2022, I turned 50 years old, and I was sort of feeling a little panicked about the aging process. And I don't know, we were coming out of, all those years of COVID, and I was starting to get re-interested in makeup and skincare and beauty. And I found myself like wanting more and more products. And I started buying and buying more products. And as I'm aging, I have different concerns that I didn't have 10, 20 years ago. So I'm looking towards slowing down some of those processes and taking better care of myself, which means I'm trying to reverse some of the signs of aging that have cropped up. We get targeted these ads on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram that really feed into that insecurity of getting older or not having flawless skin and not having perfect hair. Seeing all those things can tend to lead us to overspending. And I did talk a lot about this in a recent video where I gave 5 tips to do a no-buy year. And this is a very deep issue for a lot of us who find it hard to control our spending, especially when we see an ad that seems to answer a problem or a perceived problem that we have about ourselves. So I'm trying to change some of those habits. I'm trying to examine why I spend, why I am drawn to spend. And I know that it's not like necessarily my fault. I'm not really blaming myself in a lot of ways because we're being manipulated by advertisers. So that's a very real thing. And I'm just working on myself and hoping that I can share anything of benefit to all of you. But let's really get into this and see how I did. I'm gonna start with the fourth quarter. I've done videos and I will link them below, first, second, and third quarter spending and what I saved in case you're interested in seeing some of those videos and how I was doing throughout my no-buy year as I was tracking my quarterly spending. Overall, there's good news and bad news, just like there was with each one of those videos. I tried to do my best to track everything. I do use QuickBooks, and I've used QuickBooks for years. And I will say that when it comes to comparing 2022 to 2023, it was a little bit more challenging in certain aspects because I wasn't really tracking things as accurately in 2022 as I could have been. So like, for instance, if I placed an order on Amazon where I ordered some grocery items, but I might have thrown some skincare products in there or makeup in there, that whole invoice I would put into QuickBooks as groceries. So I might have missed things. Like vitamins, I would have categorized as groceries. Whereas this year, I was keeping better track of what I spent on vitamins. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how I'm reviewing these things when it comes to the previous year versus 2023. So for beauty and skincare, which is a big category for me, I did end up spending $728.93. But $235 of those dollars was for salon services. So getting my hair cut and colored. Yes, it's very expensive. I know. I go to a nice place, but I only go there once every 3 or 4 months. So a little higher than I would like it to have been, but I did end up placing an order for $200 at Ulta. I'm still trying to figure out what that was. That might have been, I'm actually because I'm having trouble remembering what that was, I think it might have been, should have been considered a gift because it was my husband buying me, he bought me a new face. I didn't get a brand new face, which is a device, a skincare device, and he gave it to me at Christmas. So that $200, because I've been a little bit baffled, I'm like, well, what was that? So that was actually, I'm 99% sure that was a gift. So if I take those two things out of it, because I'm just looking at what did I buy for myself as far as replacement products, because it would have had to have been replacement skincare or makeup products. That brings that down to $293.30. So a little bit more reasonable, $300, still more than I would like it to be, but you know, this is replacement hair care products, skin care products, makeup products like mascaras that would have expired. Anyways, still more than I would want it to have been for a no-buy year, but not terrible. For clothing and accessories, I spent $26.11. And I already know that $25 or $24.98 of that was a robe I bought at Walmart, which I talked about in one of my previous videos, where I said, yes, I bought myself a robe, and it was not a replacement. It was something I never even had. Can you believe all my life I have not had a plushy velvet robe, but I bought one for my trip to Gatlinburg, where I was going to be in a cabin in the mountains with some family members, and I just wanted to be have something for modesty's sake and for coziness in those cold mornings. Anyways, $26.11, pretty good for a whole 3 months for clothing and accessories. Now, one area I spent a lot of money in was gifts given for the third quarter, and that would have been for Christmas. And I think when I'm looking, and we'll get there, with the third quarter, well, actually, I'll just go there right now. Third quarter comparison from previous year to this year. That went up significantly, 120% more, because in the third quarter of 2022, I only spent on gifts $733.50. And this year, or 2023, I spent $1,618.77. Now, there might be 1 or 2 things, probably more, that would account for the difference. I know that in 2022, I got my Apple Watch, but we used our business account. My husband bought that for me for Christmas, and we would have used our business account to pay for that. I'm pretty sure he used his business account to pay for that. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm 99% sure of that. So as you know, an Apple Watch isn't cheap. So that would have brought that gifts given category up significantly. I know that he also used another one of his credit cards to buy me some other gifts for Christmas of 2022. But I told him that for 2023 to use I have an Athleta MasterCard. So I told him to use my Athleta MasterCard for all of his purchases so that I could get reward points. And so I think we probably spent less actually in 2023 on gifts, but it's just showing as more because I track all of this stuff through our personal accounts. So I want to go back. I'm going to rewind because I really should have been doing comparisons to 2022 for the other categories. So let's just go back. Beauty and skincare. Woo! This is a significant change. Where I told you that I had spent $728.93 for the fourth quarter of 2023, it was actually a change of minus 68.85%, because the previous year I spent almost $2,200. Now that's what I was talking about, that I found myself in the last quarter of 2022 spending way too much money. And so as you can see, it was almost $2,200, and now it's down to $728. So I count that as a win, that I spent way less money in that category. In the clothing and accessories, this is a huge, this was a huge change. I told you that I spent $26.11. Well, the previous year, third quarter, I spent $2,269.36. I don't even know what I bought. That's the scary part. I know that I bought like 5 pairs of shoes, but that is not $2,000. I bought a few clothes, but that's not $2,000. I have no idea. I have to really go back and look at all of those receipts and see if I could figure out what I spent $2,200 on. But hey, bygones. That was 2022, and now we're 2024, and I'm making better choices now. But man, that is a significant change. Now, some of the other categories I was looking at was like health. And so for the fourth quarter of 2023, when it comes to vitamins and health other, which would have been like a trainer, I spent a total of $400. But the previous year, 2022, I spent $1,067.97. So that was a decrease of 62.43%. Household, when it came to decorating and just buying, decorating and buying organizational products and things that wouldn't be considered like groceries, like I consider, your cleaning products, I put that into the grocery category. So that went down by $170, almost $171. So I did save a little bit of money there. And the reason why I spent $362.25 in the decorating aspect was I bought my Christmas tree. We needed some replacement Christmas lights for the outside, but I actually ended up returning them. We didn't end up using them, so I actually returned them. So I have a credit for that for this year. But I did buy my candles. I love Party Light candles. I'm an affiliate with Party Light, and so I like to get candles to give as gifts. And so part of that could have been considered gifts, right? But I didn't break it down in that way because I just made one big order. So I gave candles as gifts, and also I like to have holiday candles. And during the rest of the year, I didn't really burn candles because I was kind of like, this is just burning money. And I didn't buy any on Amazon or anywhere else. So I did make my one big buy with Party Light to buy some candles for the holidays, and I'm okay with that. But my overall went down by 22%. Now, other areas that I was not specifically trying to spend less money in, but was keeping an eye on and, trying to maybe spend, it's always good to save money and not spend as much money, but I wasn't putting limitations on dining. Dining did go up. It went up I spent $404 for the fourth quarter of 2023. So it went up by $174. Education went down. I spent $260 in 2022, and I only spent $18 in 2023. Groceries is another category that I'm keeping an eye on, and we spent less. We saved money on groceries. In 2022, we spent $4,319, and in 2023, we spent $3,575.32. which was a decrease of 17%. So overall expenses went down by 8.35%. So that's good news. It went down. It's heading in the right direction. So year-to-date comparison though, because that's gonna be where we see as a whole, how did I do in 2023 versus 2022? Because it was what I was spending in 2022 that led me to doing a no-buy year. Let's start with the categories that I was particularly trying to save in. Beauty and skincare. My expenses went down by 31.11%. I spent $3,441.96 in 2022, and in 2023 I spent $2,371.21. So that was a savings of over $1,000. Clothing and accessories. In 2022, I spent $3,629.12 on clothes and accessories. And in 2022, drum roll please, I spent $43.45. Half of that, more than half of that was that robe that I bought at Walmart. And then the rest of it would have been, because I did use my Athleta reward points to buy clothes at Gap, Old Navy, Banana Republic, and Athleta. And they only do whole dollars. So anything that was over a whole dollar, like cents, would have been the rest of that money. So that is a significant change from $3,600 to $43. On decorating, which was my big place that I was trying to save money on, I spent in 2022 $758.04, and in 2023 I spent $362.25, which we know that was all fourth quarter, what I spent on party light and those Christmas lights. So my decrease was $395.79. The health category, which would have included gym membership, vitamins, personal trainer, that went down significantly too, from $4,088.42 to $2,792.24. So almost a $1,300 decrease. Entertainment, another big change, almost a 50% decrease from $1,785.59 to $960.70. Dining went up by 32%. We spent $1,751 in 2022 versus $2,321.79. So a $570 increase. And I'm trying to think what could account for that, because we don't really eat out a lot. Prices at restaurants have definitely increased at least 20%. So this 32% increase, we could probably say that 20% of that was an increase just in the prices at the restaurant. I might also add that my husband didn't use his personal credit card, which I don't include in these numbers, that he probably used that credit card more in 2022, because we basically put a kibosh on him using that card because it was getting out of control. So because we weren't using his card, or he wasn't using his card, then that would also make an accounting of why my numbers are higher for 2023. I think between those two things, because I really don't think that we ate out any more often than the year before. If anything, I think we ate out less. So I'm keeping an eye on that. Groceries, this is amazing, because with the price of groceries going up, we actually spent less in groceries. We spent in 2022 $15,178.06 on groceries, and in 2023 $12,741. So that's a difference of $2,437.06. Now, I can't get too excited because I've already said that I wasn't doing great at categorizing things that I was buying personally for myself on Amazon. That I would just, the whole order, I would just call it groceries. Maybe we didn't spend that much in groceries in 2022, and some of that could have been personal things that I bought for myself. But I'm gonna take it as a win, because that is a $2,400 less. And this year for 2024, we are actually implementing some additional tactics to try to save more on groceries. One of those is that we're using cash. We have a budget. My husband does the majority of the grocery shopping. He's gamifying it. He has his weekly allowance for groceries. He's going to less expensive places like Aldi. Publix is out of control. I don't know if you guys have Publix supermarkets by you, but they are just freaking too expensive. Gets me angry when I start talking about it. And their produce is crappy. At least at the one around us. The ones around us, their produce is not good. They're overpriced. So we're shopping other places. We're really trying to even cut that number down significantly less. I mean, if we stick to my budget, what will my budget be? Well, let me see. What's my budget? Let me do my math. Well, I'll just say we're trying to spend $140 a week, which would bring our grocery bill down to $7,280. I'll be happy if we can get it at $10,000, which would still be a $2,700 decrease from last year. Anyways, that's what we're doing for groceries, just so you know. I'll let you know how it goes. As we keep going along, I'm sure I will update you about how all of that is going and what we're doing to save money. I plan on making videos about that as well. Total expenses percentage-wise was down by 3.42%. The dollar change was about $2,800 less. And part of that, you would think maybe it would be a bigger significant change, but we traveled more last year because I wasn't spending money on clothes and crap. Then that allowed us to be able to afford to travel. So our travel expenses went up almost double because from 2022 to 2023, because we took a couple of trips in 2023 together. So that did go up by over $4,300 that we spent more on travel versus the previous year. And we spent more in medical. We definitely spent more in medical, quite a bit more, $1,300 more, because my husband had to have some dental work done. We both had eye appointments, needed new glasses and things like that. So yeah, and he also had some dermatology appointments. I had some dermatology appointments. So we spent more in medical than in the previous year. So that also accounts for, that was $1,300 right there. So yeah, that's the thing. You do your best to plan, you do your best to budget, but then things come up. That's why you need an emergency account. I did spend more in education also, which was an area that I was keeping an eye on. That's kind of surprising to me that overall I spent $1,345 on education in 2022, but I spent $2,534.43 in education. So almost $1,200 more on education. I mean, it is an area I'm trying to keep an eye on for this year. So it's kind of like, it's really good news, because if I would not have been doing a no-buy year and really monitoring my spending, not spending, and just completely refusing to spend money on anything unless it was a replacement item, and it really had to be a replacement item. I had to have run out of something before I would repurchase it. And with clothes, I could only use my reward points. But you can see that if I would not have been doing that, then we would have finished the year with a net loss in income. We would be behind the 8 ball. I would have things still on credit cards. And, I probably would have transferred them to a 0% credit card and just paid it off over time. But, I still would have paid 4% probably to make a transfer like that. So I still would have ended up paying that finance charge to do a 0%. And as a matter of fact, when we finished 2022, I had spent so much money in that last quarter that I had to do that. I had to put that money on a 0% credit card. I paid 4% to do that. And I'm making my last payment on February 12th of that credit card. That was from 2022. But guess what? I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. Unless it would have to be some huge thing that came up that we had to put money on credit card that because, it would have had to been some kind of emergency that we couldn't pay off. But thankfully, I do have a bigger emergency fund now. I was able to put more money into savings last year also. So if something sort of major comes up, we should be able to pay for it. Knock on wood, let's hope nothing major comes up. But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this. I know this is numbers and it's sort of like kind of maybe gets monotonous to hear me just listing out numbers. And so I appreciate if you've made it this far, let me know. Leave me a comment and tell me that if you've made it this far. And if you found this insightful anyway, if this makes you think about how you're spending your money and if you're tracking your money. And I highly encourage you to track your money. And we sort of resist doing that because it shines a light on the truth of what we're doing. And that can sometimes be hard to face. But if you're going to make any changes in your life, you have to start with being truthful and honest about where you're at. And I used to be a financial analyst. And one of the things that we used to do, believe it or not, I used to be a financial analyst over 20 years ago. But one of the things that we would do is like show people exactly where you have to know where you're at. It's like a roadmap. If you're lost, you have to know right where you're at before you can make a plan for how to find your way to where you want to go. So we would call it sort of like a financial roadmap. This is where you are right now. And if you want to retire at age 65, this is how much you need to be saving, getting certain interest rates with mutual funds and IRAs and stuff like that. And unfortunately, even though I did that for a little while, and one of my best friends is still in the business and she's my financial analyst, we didn't save what we knew we needed to be saving for retirement. So now that's a big thing for me that I'm putting away as much as I can over the next 10 years. I mean, I know I'm 51 now, so I don't plan on like retiring anytime soon, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I do have a plan, but I'm not ready to share it yet. I'll keep it to myself for now. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me. Again, I really appreciate your time and I hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. And until next time, just remember, no matter where you are, financially in life, you can change it. And I am proof that you can change it because I am working on that every day. And you will do great and you are doing great.